Assalamu alaikum. How are you all? How was the weekend? Okay. As you remember that we were studying constitutions of Pakistan and we have been through the constitution of 1956, right? We have studied salient features of the 1956 constitution. And now today we will study 1962 and 1973 constitution. We will try to finish both of these constitutions today. But first of all, we will discuss briefly about what was happening when the 1956 constitution was promulgated in Pakistan, and then why it was abrogated, and then what happened during the 1958 and 1962 time frame, and then the 1962 constitution, and then what was Ayub's era, and up till 1973. Okay, so as when the first constitution of Pakistan was promulgated in 1956, Hussain Shahid Suhrawardi then became the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and he was very pro-American in his stance. He was in favor of having alliances with America, with the United States of America, though there was quite strong opposition in the country against his stances, but he was adamant that this alliance is very necessary for Pakistan, and that was one of the major reasons that he faced a lot of opposition from different sections of society, right? Then, and he was from East Pakistan as well, but he was a very strong person, right? So a very strong politician. But unfortunately for him, he was very much detached from the realities of East Pakistan. He was grown up in parts of the country away from East Pakistan or Bengal, and that is why he was not that much informed about the real aspirations of the people of East Pakistan. And it is said that some of the students from East Pakistan, when they presented their case to Hussain Shahid Suhrawardi about the issue of national language, the Bengali language, Hussain Shahid Suhrawardi just passed on that information to the Legislative Assembly of the East Pakistan, and when that Legislative Assembly did not consider those points presented by the students of East Pakistan to Hussain Shahid Suhrawardi, he did not fight for the implementation of those points. And when he visited East Pakistan just to bring normalcy to the situation over there, he was faced with a lot of agitations over there in East Pakistan, right? So, and then Sikandar Mirza, when he became the first president of Pakistan under the 1956 constitution, right, he also did not have that much backing for Hussain Shahid Suhrawardi. So Hussain Shahid Suhrawardi just quit as the Prime Minister of Pakistan, and I. Chandigarh became the Prime Minister of Pakistan, but for a very brief time, just for 2 months, right? So when he became the Prime Minister of Pakistan, I. Chandigarh, he was the situation in East Pakistan that was deteriorating, and he was faced with the same kind of situation as Hussain Shahid Suhrawardi was faced with, right? So that was another issue. Then I. Chandigarh has also was also made to resign, though Sikandar Mirza was on top of the affairs, right? And Feroz Khan Noon became the Prime Minister of Pakistan, right? So after I. Chandigarh, yes, Feroz Khan Noon became the Prime Minister of Pakistan. So Feroz Khan Noon, he was again faced, you need to keep it in mind that aristocracy of Punjab, particularly from the West Pakistan, generally from the West Pakistan, but that of Punjab, they were not in favor of any strong Prime Minister who was detrimental to their vested interest, right? So this landed aristocracy, they were in strong opposition to these Prime Ministers, and then Khan Sahab was also in opposition to these political figures, and new parties were being made in Pakistan, and this opposition was mounting against the elected governments or against the Prime Ministers of Pakistan. In the meantime, Ayub Khan was a blue-eyed person of Sikandar Mirza, and he was the field marshal or the military, not the field marshal but the military chief at that time. Ayub Khan was observing the situation in a very detached manner. All this situation, he was observing it in a very detached manner, and he was not approving the way things were conducted by Sikandar Mirza. When situation got out of control, Sikandar Mirza just invited Ayub Khan to to take control of the issues in the country and have a say in the political affairs of the country. So Ayub Khan, and he invited Ayub Khan for to implement martial law in the country. So the first constitution was abrogated and martial law was imposed in the country. On the behest of Sikandar Mirza, Ayub Khan did that, and within the span of 20 days, Sikandar Mirza was also shown the path to go home, right? The path of pavilion by Ayub Khan, and he became the chief martial law administrator in the country. The constitution was abrogated, and everything, all the development which Pakistan had made during the years from 1947 to 1956, all that development just worked for 2 years, and then the constitution was abrogated and things were halted. So this was the situation. Now today we will discuss, now we are heading towards another constitution, that is the 1962 constitution. And this was a brief background of things which happened during those 2 years, 56 to 58. Now what happened afterwards? Right? Military took over on 7th October 1958, and consequently Ayub Khan became the martial law chief martial law administrator in the country. One major task was to frame a new constitution. The new administration was critical of parliamentary system because they thought that it did not work in Pakistan, and now they should have another kind of system in the country, right? So they were critical about the parliamentary system of the of democracy which was prevailing in Pakistan before the abrogation of the 1956 constitution, right? As that did not work in their opinion, that was redundant, and there was no use for it anymore. Okay. The government introduced, Ayub Khan government, what did it do? It introduced the basic democracies in October 1959. Under this system, 40,000 basic democrats, they were to be elected from one province and likewise from the other province. So 80,000 in total. Later on the number was raised to 120,000, right? Okay. What was this basic democracy? It was a kind of electoral college, right? First of all, the people of both wings, they were supposed to elect 40,000 people from their provinces, 40,000 from east, 40,000 from west, right? The basis of parity. Now these 40,000 people were supposed to elect the officials or the members of the provincial legislatures as well as the member of the national legislatures, and then they were supposed to even cast vote on behalf of the people of Pakistan for the president of Pakistan. So it was an indirect election was introduced in the country. People were just supposed to elect these 40,000 people or 80,000 people in the country, and then these 80,000 people were supposed to do everything on behalf of the people in the country. There were no direct vote system at that time, so it was, and they were of the opinion that direct democracy, it did not work in Pakistan in the past, and that is why Pakistani populace is not mature enough to absorb the system of democracy which is prevailing in the West. So the democracy should be tailored in order to meet the needs of Pakistan. This is what they were thinking, and that is why this thing was introduced. This is what I have already told you, that that was an electoral college, right? Now, what did it do? A constitutional commission was established in 1960, February 1960, right? Under the chairmanship of Justice Shahabuddin, former Chief Justice, and the tasks assigned to the commission were following. First of all, to examine the causes of the failure of parliamentary system in Pakistan, as they thought that it failed in 1956. So what were the major causes for the failure of this system in Pakistan? And then recommend new system keeping in view the genius of the people, standard of education of the people, internal conditions of the country, and then a need of development. So the new system which they were thinking that they need to give to the country should consider these things, right? Genius of the people, standard of education, internal condition of the country, and need for development. right? These were the tasks of the Constitutional Commission. Right. The Commission presented its report in May 1961 after 2 committees reviewed it. Under the report, these committees, so they drafted. Ayub announced the Constitution on March 1st, 1962. Elections to the National Assembly and Provincial Assembly were held in April and May 1962 respectively. Right. The Commission was enforced. The Constitution was enforced on June 8, 1962. Martial law was withdrawn. The new Constitution was consisted of 250 articles and 5 schedules. So this was the new Constitution which was given to the country. Now we will just discuss some of the salient features of this Constitution, and afterwards, before getting into debate about the 1973 Constitution, we will just discuss briefly about Ayub era. What happened during that era? This Constitution worked for almost you may say 7 years, right? But what happened during those 7 years, and what were the things, that is what we will be discussing after the discussion on salient features of the 1962 Constitution, right?
Sir, this Constitution was implemented during martial law.
There was martial law after the abrogation of the Constitution of 1958. When this Constitution was implemented, this is the date, 8 June. So the martial law was withdrawn and the Constitution is implemented. You need to understand basic facts about martial law and constitutional laws. Basically, a country cannot be run even for a single hour without any basic law of the land. Otherwise, there will be anarchy. So either that law may be called constitutional law, because if it is given by to the country by the consent of the people, that is the constitutional law. But when the Constitution is abrogated, the constitutional law is no more there, then there must be some other law to run the country. And if a marshal is there, a general is there, and that general gives his own law, then that law is known as martial law, right? So it governs the country in the same fashion as the Constitution governs, like every basic thing is defined in that law. But that is known as the martial law because it is given by one person, right? Not with the consensus of the people. Okay, what were the salient features? First of all, the name of the country, that was a republic, right? The Republic of Pakistan. Later on, when the religious groups agitated, the name was amended and Islamic Republic of Pakistan was called. Then that name was given. Then there was a presidential system, as you were saying that we did not try presidential system. In one of the previous classes, Hussain, you were saying that we did not try. So I told you that no, 1962 Constitution was presidential system, right? Do you remember that? Okay. So this was a presidential system. A powerful president, who was responsible for the administration and affairs of the state. He was at the helm of affairs, right? And then his cabinet was selected by him. It wasn't elected people, they were just selected people, because in presidential system it is like this. The legislature is separate from the executive. In parliamentary system, the legislature and the executive, they come from the same body, like the executive come from the legislature. So there is kind of, you may say, overlapping and constraints in parliamentary system. But in presidential system, there are no such constraints that you need to select your cabinet members from within the parliament, because the president is free to select his cabinet members. He is not bound by the law that the cabinet members should be elected ones. They cannot, they are not necessarily elected people. They are just able people to run the administration of the country, and the president is free to select them from anywhere in the country, even if they are not elected by the people, right? And they are not supposed to be elected ones. Okay. Only the president's election is enough for this system, right? Then he would be elected to indirect election, as I have already told you that was an indirect election in the country as a result of the basic democracy system introduced by Ayub Khan. So the president would be elected through indirect elections for a period of 5 years. If he has held office for more than 8 years, he could seek re-election with the approval of the national assemblies and the provincial assemblies, right? So for example, if he has held office for more than 8 years, right, then he would ask them to re-elect them, to endorse himself by these assemblies. So it was, you can say that it was all made to meet the needs of Ayub Khan during that era, that how he would be selected or elected by these people, right? So some of the provisions were really controversial, and they were kept there to satisfy Ayub Khan's needs. Okay, National Assembly was given the power to impeach the president. However, it was difficult to achieve. President could dissolve the NA, but in that case, he must seek re-election. So now the National Assembly could say that, okay, we do not trust the president and we can impeach him because he is corrupt, he is this and that, and we should impeach him, right? Okay, that power was given to the president. However, it was difficult because he could dissolve the National Assembly because he was the president. But if he dissolves the National Assembly and then a new National Assembly comes, then he need to seek re-election from that new National Assembly, right? So this was some of the powers of the president. Again more, president was the focal point of all executive, legislative and judiciary powers, right? If he can dissolve the National Assembly, then he is even the focal point of the legislative powers, because he will ask the National Assembly to do a certain kind of lawmaking, and if they do not do it, he might dissolve it, right? Okay, then cabinet was responsible to the president, so he was all powerful, right? All key appointments were made by the president in the country. Again, so this is a powerful position, and he was kind of following you cannot say that he was exactly following the model implemented in the United States of America, but he was somehow inclined towards that model, right? Because over there we can see that there is an electoral college, and people elect their representatives to that college, and then those representatives, they vote for the President of the United States of America. Though nowadays it looks like an almost direct election, because people know that if I select this candidate, he will vote for that presidential candidate, or if I select that candidate, he will vote for this presidential candidate. So when these candidates are elected, automatically, the percentage is drawn, and then the media comes to know on the spot that, okay, this person is the president because these much candidates were in favor of this president. Now these candidates have been elected, so now this person should become the president. But actually it is an indirect election, right? The people vote for the candidates, not like for Donald Trump and Obama and Hillary Clinton. They vote for those candidates who are supposed to vote for them again, right? Okay. He could issue ordinances, right? Again, this is powerful. And he could also declare a state of emergency in the country. So when the state of emergency declared in a country, and the president can declare the state of emergency, then what happens is that he becomes more powerful. The fundamental rights of the people, they are just suspended. So in emergencies, the presidents and the governors, they become more powerful because the normal process is disrupted, right? Now, what were the National Assembly, what was it doing? National Assembly was consisted of one house on the basis of principle of parity between the two wings of the country, right? Okay, there were 150 seats plus 6 seats were reserved for the women, so 150 seats and 6 reserved, 156 seats, right, in total. And then all members were elected indirectly by the BD members, basic democracy members. So these members were not elected directly by the people. People were only supposed to elect 80,000 basic democracy members, and then they were doing the rest of the job for them. Okay, the minimum age for membership of the National Assembly was 25 years, right? Now what were the legislative powers of the National Assembly? Kanun banane ke ikhtiyarat. NA had all the powers of lawmaking, but law was to be finally ratified by the president. So he was again powerful. The law is made by the National Assembly, and then it is subject to ratification by the president, right? President could sign, reject or return the bill for review, right? Okay, financial powers of the National Assembly. Financial powers of the National Assembly were limited. Only new expenditures could be voted, right? So basically, when the National Assembly is not that much powerful financially, then it is the purse which matters. It is the economy which matters. So it wasn't even enjoying that thing. So that is why you can say that it was a weak National Assembly, and people of the country were not given much authority in the country. Rather, the authority existed with the president of the country, right? Okay, federalism was there in the country because there were two units, so that is a kind of federalism where there are autonomous units, and they, as I have explained this concept in detail. So the federalism was there in the country as a result of this constitution. There were two provinces of the Federation, East and West Pakistan. Only one list of subjects, that is the central list, was given in the constitution, right? Fine. Okay, now what was the condition of the provincial government? So governors were head of the provinces, right? And they were acting on behalf of the president in the center. So they were appointed by the center in the provinces, right? Then provincial governments were directly under the control of the president. As I have told you that governors were the agents of the center in the provinces. So it was almost the same kind of situation which was in center. Like in center it was the president and National Assembly. At provincial level it was the governor and the provincial assembly, right? There was a strong center with the powerful president. He had enough powers to manage provincial affairs, right? As the through the governors. You should keep this in mind, that it was through the governors. In case of emergency powers, central government could take direct control of any of the province because of the president, because of the powers with the president, you know, emergency powers with the president, but then governor could exercise those powers on behalf of the president at provincial level. Okay, what were the principle of policy? National solidarity would be observed. This was principal policy is a kind of thing which is not you know, binding, but it just gives a direction to the lawmaking bodies and all the implementing bodies of the law in the country, that everything should be directed in this direction. So they were just told that national solidarity should be observed, right? And then interests of backward people would be looked after, right? Opportunities for participation in the national life should be given to all citizens of the country. Then education and well-being of the people should be taken care of, and then Islam would be implemented in day-to-day life of the country.
So what is national life?
Qawmi Zindagi. National life, you know, we are just spending our individual lives, but at the same time we are spending our national lives as well. We are observing Eid holidays, we are observing Ramazan, and you know, all these things at state level and national life. So this thing, you know, you can say that, you know, these kind of activities which relates to the nation at large becomes part of the national life, right? Like 14th August and 23rd March and all celebrations as a Pakistani nation, everybody celebrates it. So this becomes things which you can relate to the national life. Okay, fundamental rights, they were provided in the constitution, right? Then political parties, and then originally, initially political parties were banned. Political parties were no more there in the country because Ayub Khan was of the opinion that the whole mess has been created by the political parties. But later on we will study it. I'm going through it quite quickly because I need to cover a lot of ground afterwards as well, right? So political parties were initially banned, and later on they were given permission, you know, to have political activities in the country. Originally political parties were not allowed, right? Okay. What were the Islamic provisions of the Constitution of 1956, right? So objective resolution was the preamble of the Constitution, and other Islamic provisions were also given in the Constitution, right? Objective resolution, as we have already studied, that it was given to the country in 1949, and it was said that whatever you do in Constitution, whatever the shape of the Constitution may be, but these basic principles should not be avoided. So these were objective resolution. They were in the preamble of the 1956 1956 constitution. Now they are in the preamble of the 1962 constitution, and you will see that they will be in the preamble of 1973 and later on incorporated in the constitution as a result of the 8th amendment of 1985, right, in 1973 constitution. So this objective resolution plays an important role in the constitution of Pakistan, constitutions of Pakistan. Advisory Council for Islamic Ideology was established, right? Then an Advisory Council for Islamic Ideology was made in the constitution. Okay, this is what I have already told you. Islamic Research Institution, it was designed for the research and instructions in the Islam for assisting reconstruction of Muslim society on the basis of Islam. So this institute was developed in the, it was given in the constitution that such kind of institution should be there, and it was devised. Okay, working of the constitution remained in force from June 8, 1962 to 25th March 1969. Now what happened during this whole time, right? If we got time, we will come to the we will go to the 1973 constitution and its background. Otherwise we will just focus, and I will try to cover things up till 1971, 16th December, when there was the debacle of East Pakistan, right? So what happened during this constitution? As I have told you that Ayub Khan was not in favor of the Western democracy in Pakistan, right? He was against that system of governance or democracy which was in the West. So he gave this constitution to the country. And Ayub Khan, he was a person who had deep understanding, or he had a stable personality, and he was looking towards the things during Sikandar Mirza's times and the 1950s in a very detached manner, and he had developed his ideas that Pakistan cannot be ruled the way these politicians are ruling it. They are just taking care of their own narrow interest, and I need to discard them. That was why he just put a ban on political parties, because these political parties, in his view, this is not my view, in his view, these political parties were doing no good for the country, right? This was one reason. In the meantime, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, he became a blue-eyed person of Ayub Khan, right? Over here, the role of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto comes in parallel with the role of Ayub Khan. So Zulfikar Ali Bhutto became the blue-eyed man of Ayub Khan, and Ayub Khan heavily relied on him in foreign affairs. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was quite young, and he was quite intelligent, and he had got solution for a lot of problems which Ayub Khan was facing at that time. And whenever there would be a meeting of cabinet meeting or something like that, so people would be criticizing Ayub Khan, they would be very vocal in those cabinet meetings, and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto would try to remain calm in those meetings without saying a single word. But when the meeting would over, he would go silently to, quietly to Ayub Khan, and then he would give his counsel to Ayub Khan. So in this way you can say that Zulfikar Ali Bhutto had capitalized on the opportunity to have the ear of the president of the country, and his recommendations, his suggestions, they really helped Ayub Khan in overcoming a lot of problems initially, right? Ayub Khan implemented reforms in the country, land reforms, and Ayub Khan, though those land reforms, they were not that effective. And during that time, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, some of the people, alleged that Zulfikar Ali Bhutto is an Indian agent. Why they were saying it? Because in 1950s, some of the land, because he was from the landed aristocracy in Pakistan, so some of his land in Sindh, as a result of partition, it remained over there. It went to the Indian side, across the border. Some of the land remained over there, so his land was also partitioned. And there were allegations that he even used the Indian passport for travel, for international travel after the establishment of Pakistan. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto denied it. He said, only once I visited on Indian passport, and that was in 1950 or something like that. So up till that time he was kind of having dual nationality. right, in the country. Later on, he just gave up everything which remained over there in India, and you know, he might have got that what can you say, that grievance in his mind, that okay, India has got, or a lot of my land has remained over there in India, and now I need to, you know, just show some mettle to India, and now he has got this opportunity, right? This is my personal opinion, so I did not read it anywhere, but keeping in view the unfolding of events afterwards, this thing just came across my mind, that okay, this might be one of the reasons that he was so anti-Indian at that in 1960s. So Zulfikar Ayub Khan was busy in the administration of the country during the 1960s, and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was very influential as a foreign minister of the country, and the army was virtually run by General Musa during that time, right? So Ayub Khan did not have time to look into the small affairs of day-to-day affairs of army and all this stuff. So General Musa was handling those affairs, and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was handling the foreign affairs, but in the process they both came close together, right? They were discussing a lot of things. So yeah, Bhutto and Musa, they were discussing a lot of things during the same time. Ayub Khan was kind of detached from this situation on ground. So Bhutto just created a war hysteria with India in 1960s, towards 1963, 1964 and 1965. He created this war hysteria among the military junta, that okay, a war with India is imminent, we need to fight with India, we need to take back the Kashmir and this and that. So he created all this stuff, and he was convinced that if we fight with India and if we give it tough time, we can take back Kashmir from India. This was his point of view, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. He convinced General Musa of this, right? And together, Ayub Khan did not know much about it, but together they launched Operation Gibraltar in the early 1965. They launched Operation Gibraltar in Kashmir, and this operation was meant to, you know, give tough time to India in the Indian occupied Kashmir. That Operation Gibraltar. And apart from this, another operation was in the offing, and that operation was meant to conduct military or guerrilla activities beyond the Indian held Kashmir inside India, right? The run of Kutch incident was already happened in April or May 1965. So all this thing was happening, and Ayub Khan was not that much aware of it. General Musa was aware, and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was aware. Now what happened that as a result of that, India retaliated, which we normally ignore in our textbooks, right? India retaliated in the 1965 war, and Pakistan. So Ayub Khan was caught with surprise that the situation went out of control, and he did not know much about it. And it was, you know, the military built up, and the strategies on Pakistani side to take back Kashmir and give tough time to India, and that was a miscalculation by the Pakistan army. And Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was one of the main characters in that whole scenario. So the Pakistan military retaliated, and Ayub Khan was struck with surprise, and Pakistan penetrated deep into India, but the problem was that penetration was not enough. That was a temporary kind of thing, because Pakistan was running out of arms and munition at that time, fuel to fight India at that time, right? And it was in the interest of Pakistan to, you know, to cease fire with India, to go for a ceasefire with India, and nobody was willing to negotiate a ceasefire with India at that time. So okay, on ground Pakistan was deep over there, but they could not sustain it, right? So when they could not sustain it, Ayub Khan was very much of the opinion that we should go for a ceasefire. Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was quiet at that time. He was just observing the situation, and publicly he was, saying that this war, we have won the war, and we should retain the territories which we have got. So later on, Ayub Khan was denied even by Washington for mediation. Washington did not come for the rescue of Pakistan at that time. The Chinese, though they were not that powerful, but they even did not come for the proper rescue of Pakistan at that time, and it was hard to retain those occupied territories by the Pakistan army. Kosygin, the Russian premier, he supported Pakistan. He negotiated the terms of the peace treaty between Pakistan and India, and Indian Prime Minister and Ayub Khan, along with the Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, they all went to Moscow. Over there, a peace treaty was signed between the two countries, and Pakistan, and situation was resolved, and Pakistan gave away all those territories which were occupied as a result of the 1965 war, right? So the consideration in giving back all those states back to India was that Ayub Khan wanted to save his military as well, because in a retreat without fuel, without munition, a complete slaughter of Pakistani military was obvious. So Ayub Khan just wanted to avoid that situation. So that is why he signed those agreement over there, right? When they came back to Pakistan, what happened afterwards? Zulfikar Ali Bhutto just launched a campaign against Ayub Khan, and he said that he has betrayed Pakistan, and he just gave away everything on table which the Pakistan military had acquired on the battlefield. All the things were given to India on a table under pressure, and Pakistan, and Ayub Khan was portrayed very negatively in the minds of the people. People were also given the impression that we are winning the war and we will be the victorious powers and this and that. And military, the ordinary soldiers and the middle ranking officers of military, they were also very critical about Ayub Khan's decision, but Ayub Khan was looking towards the things from a vantage point, so he could see what was happening over there, right? So as a result, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto launched his Pakistan People's Party. First of all, he went to East Pakistan to just make alliance with Mujibur Rahman against Ayub Khan, but over there Mujibur Rahman had his own designs. They were not happy with the West Pakistan's behavior and the bureaucracy, so they were not willing to make an alliance with Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, because previously when Ayub Khan was faced with resistance from the East Pakistan, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto gave a lot of suggestions to Ayub Khan to tackle the situation over there. So they were mostly against Mujibur Rahman at that time. So when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto faced a failure over there, right, in East Pakistan, he came back and he launched his own political party. But in the process, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, during the previous years, he was very popular among the youths of Pakistan, because he was the man on the front. He would be doing diplomacy with people, with China, with Russia, with a lot of other international actors, and it was Zulfikar Ali Bhutto who was visible on in the print and electronic media, if there was some sort of electronic media vibrant at that time, right? So he was visible for the people, and the youth, they were rallying after him, after Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. So when he launched his political party, Pakistan People's Party, it was very popular, and this party gave a lot of resistance to Ayub Khan at that time, and Ayub Khan even put Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in prison during the late 1960s, before the abrogation of this constitution. He put him in prison as well, right? But when he was faced with a lot of resistance, even Mujib was put in prison, and a lot of East Pakistan leaders, political leaders, were put in prison because they were trying to have political activities under their own political platforms, and these political activities were banned in the country. So Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and a lot of other political leaders, they were put in prison. Later on, when Ayub Khan realized that it is difficult to keep them in prison and deal with this resistance, and when he started missing the counsels of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, right, because Zulfikar Ali Bhutto was a very genius person, So when he started missing those advices from him, he just released him and even asked him to come and give him advice how to control the situation. But he denied, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto denied, right? Because he knew his power, he was on the rise. So he denied that thing. He did not come to the rescue of Ayub Khan. Situation got out of control. Ayub Khan was faced with a lot of resistance, and General Yahya, who was then, dealing the military and these affairs of the country. So General Yahya was given, General Yahya was also against Ayub Khan at that time because of his negative role, the perceived negative role in the 1965 war, right? So the military was against him and the political parties were against him, and Ayub Khan was left with no option but to resign. So he resigned, and General Yahya came to power, and another martial law was implemented in the country, and this 1962 constitution was abrogated. Now when this 1962 constitution was abrogated, it was again General Yahya, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, Mujibur Rahman, and things from 1969 to 1971 till the dismemberment of Pakistan, right? So this constitution was abrogated, and over there in East Pakistan, Mujibur Rahman had already given his 6 points, right? That okay, we need to have autonomy, we need to have financial powers, we need, only 3 powers were given, were supposed to be there with the center, and the rest of the powers should be given to the provinces. Autonomy should be given to the provinces. These points were not acceptable for aristocracy and bureaucrats of the West Pakistan, right? So they were terming them acts of treason, these points, and whenever they would raise their voices for their own rights, the East Pakistani people, they would be termed as acts of treason and anti-national. So that was an issue with them at that time. What happened afterwards was that that 1970 election were about to be held, and then a new constitution was supposed to be drafted for the country, because that constitution has been abrogated, and now they were heading towards a new constitution. But during that time, cyclones hit East Pakistan. 2 or 3 major cyclones, they just hit East Pakistan, and when those cyclones hit East Pakistan, the people were impoverished, they were killed, a lot of people, some say that in millions people were killed over there by those cyclones, but aid from West Pakistan did not reach there in time. Yahya Khan was in China. When he came back from China, he stayed over there in Dhaka. When he stayed in Dhaka, he did not know about the real situation created by those cyclones on ground over there, and he came back to Islamabad. And people were just, over there in East Pakistan, they were very critical about this, these kind of acts by the leaders from the West Pakistan, including Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, right? Okay, and when that happened, right? So the seat of the government was was West Pakistan, and the seat of the National Assembly was supposed to be East Pakistan. Anyhow, in those circumstances, elections were held. When elections were held, it was a clean sweep for Mujibur Rahman over there in East Pakistan. He secured 176 out of 179 or 173 out of 176. I don't exactly remember the number right now. But with the exception of 2 seats, he secured the rest of the National Assembly seats in East Pakistan. Awami League secured it, right? Zulfikar Ali Bhutto secured his party secured just 86 out of 129 total seats in the 1970s National Assembly elections in the West Pakistan. The rest were, like they had stronghold in Sindh, they had stronghold in South Punjab, but Balochistan was out of PPP's range, and there were Congressites in NWFP. So, but it was the majority party from West Pakistan. Then Zulfikar Ali Bhutto did not accept the election result. Logically, Mujibur Rahman should have been asked to come and form a government, because he was from the victorious party and his seats were more than Zulfikar Ali Bhutto's seats. But Zulfikar Ali Bhutto did not accept that reality. He was adamant that he should form his government and Mujibur Rahman should not be given a chance, or he should be incorporated, and Mujibur Rahman accepted that okay, we will not form a government alone, we will incorporate you in the government, in the national government. Come and sit together and let's decide something, a working strategy for it. But he was not willing to come to terms with Mujibur Rahman. So when he was not willing, what happened was that the situation deteriorated more, and there was a National Assembly gathering over there in Dhaka, and Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, first of all, when he went to Peshawar over there, he issued a statement at the residence of Hayat Sherpao over there, right? And that statement was asking people not to go to Dhaka to attend that National Assembly's conference over there. Then again another statement was issued in Lahore, and later on it was a series of statements in which they were targeted towards asking people that in Lahore he even said that whoever goes to Dhaka we will just hum unke pair tod denge, theek hai na? So no, do not go to Dhaka to attend that session. Later on, so it meant that he was not accepting the results of the election, right? When this situation, during this situation, the sentiment of these grievances and all these things among the East Pakistani people, they were rising, because they thought that okay, as a result of a fair election we have got majority, and now when we are in the majority, the Pakistani politicians, they do not accept our majority now in this election, right? So this situation was aggravated with these kind of activities, and it is said that when Islamabad was built at that time, this Yahya Khan was the first chairman of CDA, so Islamabad was built at that time. So when they would come to Islamabad for to perform some acts by the government, the seat of the government was Islamabad. So it is said that people from East Pakistan, when they would come to Islamabad and see Islamabad, they would just rub their finger on the roads in Islamabad, and they will say, okay, we can smell jute, right? So this is like their behavior towards Pakistan at that time, that they thought that okay, our resources are just drawn from East Pakistan and they are spent on the development of West Pakistan, and we are not given proper share in the resources. So during this whole situation, when the National Assembly session was about to be held, 2 days before that session, it was suspended by Yahya Khan, right, under the pressure from Zulfikar Ali Bhutto. So that was an act considered as an act of treachery and betrayal by the people in East Pakistan, because they thought that okay, now we would be having a National Assembly session and then we will elect our own Prime Minister or something like that as a result of this majority, but that session was postponed. When that session was postponed, situation deteriorated, a political agitation was there in East Pakistan, and that was a political matter supposed to be resolved politically, but then under a lot of pressure from Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and General Ahsan and General Tika Khan, so all these figures came together and they put a lot of pressure on Yahya Khan to resort to military action to curb the violence in East Pakistan. So Zulfikar Ali Bhutto and Yahya Khan were over there in Dhaka when this military action was decided, and then Yahya Khan flew from Dhaka to Islamabad, and in the meantime Zulfikar Ali Bhutto remained over there, and in the meantime, in that one night, military action was started in East Pakistan, right? But when Zulfikar Ali Bhutto on the next day arrived in Karachi, what did he say over there in Karachi? Military action was being carried out over there, and he said in Karachi when he landed that thank God Pakistan has been saved, right? Though military action was over there taking place in East Pakistan. So this was a kind of a negative thing. Then as a result of this military action, a lot of people fled, refugees fled to India, and that was a weak point of India, right? So that was a weak point of Pakistan, and India took proper advantage of that weakness of Pakistan. It gave refuge to the refugees over there. The Mukti Bahini was trained over there, and East Bengal Rifles, they were transferred from East Bengal to West Pakistan, from East Pakistan to West Pakistan, and military units from West Pakistan were deputed over there, and then the civil war began. When the civil war began, India intervened, and it was a full-fledged war. Even Karachi was bombarded during that war, and international community was just taken aback or taken by surprise as a result of those military action by India at large scale. Ultimately, Pakistan had to surrender, and then we saw the famous speech of Zulfikar Ali Bhutto in the United Nations Council, where he was tearing the papers and all this stuff, right? And we will go back and we will fight. But at the same time, Pakistani military was beaten badly over there in East Pakistan, right, by the mutineers along with the Indian troops. And it was our own doing, our own decision, right, that we did not give them proper consideration at that time. One aspect which I want to bring into your notice, because I have given time to someone that they will occupy this place and at 11 o'clock. But one point which I want to bring into your notice was that, in my opinion, the landed aristocracy and the bureaucracy in Pakistan, they had already, I think, decided that, okay, it is difficult to live with these Bengalis because they were not willing to share powers with them, and it is difficult to live with them because if they came to power, they are from the middle class, and there will be massive land reforms in the country. Yes. As a result of these massive land reforms in the country, these landed aristocrats, they will lose their lands, So that is why it is good to just part ways with them and have our own lands over there, like Abadera in Sindh, Sardar in Balochistan, Chaudhry in Punjab, and Khan in NWFP. They had decided, along with the bureaucracy of the country, that okay, we cannot share powers with them because then we will lose a lot of power if we share power with them, right? Okay, this is it. We will discuss 1973 and the background in afterwards, right? Thank you.